It's Saturday, the 1st of March in the year of our Lord 2025. We're going to get back. We're going to talk a lot about what's going on with President Trump and geopolitics. We're down in Tarrant County. Honored to have Brian Harrison here. Except two things I learned. When I'm in prison as a political prisoner, Davis, I had so many people, Natalie Davis, are all trying to get there, be hosts. Harrison, you were co-host in the War Room, right?
With my buddy Mike Davis.
Now, hang on for a second. As you know, Mike Davis is beloved by this audience.
I know.
But Mike Davis has got a certain house style. You seem like a nice middle-class kid, right, that's trying to do the right thing. How the hell did you hook up with the Viceroy?
Well, I appreciate you clarifying that, because when I was on the show with him, he was concerned about telling America that he and I are friends, concerned that it might ruin my political career down here in Texas. So,
yeah, because it might.
And I was
maybe
worried
anywhere
too.
else but Texas it would. But Texas being
Texas,
Texas
okay.
being Texas
okay. Is MAGA, or at least the Texas voters are MAGA.
No, so tell me about, we're going to get this, tell me about Mike Davis.
I go back with Mike over 20 years. And, I tell you what, especially when the 4 years of the Biden administration and the lawfare that you know something about, I don't know that anybody in America has done more during that time to fight back against the Republic destroying lawfare than Mike Davis and the Article 3 project.
Mike Davis.
Yeah.
Article 3, amazing.
Yep. Great.
You knew him. By the way, what a lot of people don't know about Brian, you were actually in the first Trump term, and you had one of the hardest jobs, chief of staff of HHS.
That's right. Yeah, the biggest cabinet agency in the world. Yes, sir.
Talk about that. Talk about the pressure that comes to HHS. Bobby Kennedy's over right now. You know the types of things that have to happen. How tough is it when you're taking incoming every day? And as Tommy Tuberville told us, Big Pharma runs the city, right?
Well, we have a lot of regulatory capture, where these entities on the outside that are supposed to be kept in check by the government, by people's elected officials at the federal level, but these regulated entities basically take over and then end up controlling the bureaucrats in the deep state, and there is no bigger agency than HHS. So it's great to say now, Secretary Kennedy,
yes,
got his work cut out for him, because HHS is the biggest, 26 divisions.
Do you believe, one of the things I've told Bobby from day one he supports, if you look at MSNBC at night, they couldn't have a channel if they didn't have big farmers. They got diseases I never even heard. I think they make them up just to advertise. Should we take advertising out of TV like they do in big pharma advertising? Is that something that would break the cartel?
Well, and it's something we actually tried to tackle in the first term. Couldn't quite get it there, and I think that I'm happy to see Secretary Kennedy talking about that on his list of things that he's going to try to do to tackle something that I know personally, firsthand, is a real priority for President Trump. That's getting the price of prescription drugs down for American patients.
And it's hard. Okay, you've come back. You've dedicated your life now to Texas and Texas politics. Tell me about your history in Texas and where'd you run? Why'd you run? Where are you?
I'm a native Texan, multi-generation Texan.
Multi-generation.
Many. I don't even know how many.
So you know how hard it was for this state to become what it is today. The seventh largest economy. You talk about an economy the size of France.
We are. Yeah, Texas is the seventh largest economy on earth. 30 million people call Texas home. We have.
And by 2045, it's supposed to be the largest state in the union. That's all. I hope Texans understand that comes with a lot of downside to it, right?
And a lot of responsibility. As goes Texas, so goes the nation. And I tell you what, one thing
there's no. That's what I said last night.
Yeah.
As Tarrant County goes, so goes Texas. As Texas goes, so goes America.
Right.
As America goes, so goes the world.
And that's why it's so important. The state of Texas, a state that I love and call home. Make no mistake about it. People don't talk about us as a battleground state, but we are the crown jewel in the Democrats' plan to take 100%. Over America. So Texas is the line in the sand for the future of our country, and that's why it's so important. I'm kind of on a mission to save Texas
Soros
right
put $300 or $400 million in there a couple of years ago. It got a little pink. It wasn't hard red, right? They made some inroads. You guys, the Herculean effort of the grassroots movement to turn that around, it's heroic, but they're still coming for it because they understand they can control France. Now, here's what our audience doesn't get. And the audience has been with you guys through the impeachment of Paxton, through the great grassroots victory, Trump's 14-point win. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got the Texas House, and you got a guy, the grassroots guy can't win, and he's actually not that grassroots, but the other guy's essentially a Democrat, and they've given all the power to the Democrats. How could this possibly happen?
I think
when you have a success story for the grass, because Texas, and God bless, I love Florida and Ohio and Georgia and North Carolina, Tennessee, but this is the railhead of the MAGA movement. Correct? Arizona's fab, but this is the railhead, right?
No, I'm going to say something that's going to shock your viewers. Texas, as you mentioned, voted by 14 points for President Trump. Bright red state. The Texas House is controlled by Democrats. say that again. The Republican-dominated Texas House is controlled by radical Democrats. Trump wins Texas, but Kamala Harris's team is controlling the Texas House.
You go down to Starr County, 97% Hispanic, hard-bitten people down there, working-class Hispanics, all of them. We lose it to Clinton by 60 points in 16. Trump wins by 16 points. These people are looking for MAGA rule. They're looking for Texas. So how this makes no sense. There's something I'm missing. So what am I missing?
Yeah, Texas voted for bold Republican leadership. They deserve bold Republican leadership, but they've got Democrat control, and I'll tell you why. Because 30 fake Republicans in the Texas House colluded with 50 Democrats to take over the chamber. So 50 Democrats are who elected our fake RINO speaker in the Texas House. And there's lots of talk about voter fraud. I'm going to tell your viewers, there may be no better example of voter fraud in all of America than what happened in the bright red state of Texas, where Republicans gave Trump a 14-point victory. But Democrats have been put in charge of the Texas House by 30 RINOs. So it begs the question. Everybody knows how important election integrity is. But what's the point of election integrity if Republicans who win at the ballot box are just going to turn around and give Kamala Harris's team all the power? It's the greatest example of voter fraud maybe in the history of our country.
So Texas for years, particularly after the Civil War and the Confederacy, like I come from a Democrat family in the South, but everybody in the South was essentially Democrats back. You know, are these people actually Democrats? Is the old Democratic Party still run Texas? Is that what we see? Uprising of MAGA?
I'm going to horrify you even more. No, Texas government was smaller and government was growing slower when those old school Democrats were running our state. The government in Texas is getting bigger, taxes are going higher, spending is going up under people who have the word Republican by their name, but they would be Democrats tomorrow if that's what it took to get them elected. Texas has got a reputation for leading in freedom and liberty.
Big time.
But we have been just coasting on that reputation.
How has that happened?
Because Republicans, I think it's true for every elected official, you know this, you got to make a choice. You can either be popular in the swamp or you can fight like President Trump is doing in D.C. for the freedom and liberty of the next generation of Texans. And we have too many Republicans, or at least people with the word Republican by their name, that have chosen to be popular in the Austin swamp.
You're saying the business interests here are, so look, it's
just like D.C.
The appropriations is $330 billion. Which is, man, the GDP here would make you the seventh largest economy in the world.
The whole
right?
world. Yep.
Whole world. So you're the size of France, one of the biggest nations, most powerful nations, industrial nations on earth. With the stakes that high, you're saying the business interests, the legal community, the media, because there really is not an alternative media down here.
No, and that's actually, so having served under President Trump in the swamp of D.C. and now for a couple years in the swamp of Austin, I actually believe the Austin swamp is worse, and I'll tell you why, because nobody knows what's happening down there. The voters of Texas, they're not to blame. They did their duty. They went to the ballot box and pushed for Republican leadership, and they know Republicans dominate all of our offices, but what they don't know is when no one's looking, the very Republicans that said, vote for me and I'll fight the Democrats, they go down to the Pink Dome in Austin and they vote to put those Democrats in charge and collude with them to destroy liberty.
Because they did a bait and switch here.
Yeah, they did.
Because they said, when we were in the firestorm of that thing with the guy, we put him on notice, war room, people were blowing their phones up.
Thank you.
We're going to do it again. But he said, hang on. This is going to be all Republican chairmen. Right, all Republicans. Tell them about it, because you're going to fire this audience
my God.
up.
This is
tell them what they did when they told us, well, hold it. Maybe I'm a RINO, but it's all Republican chairman of committees.
15 seconds of background. When I showed up on the heel, I had just gotten done working in the Trump administration. I get elected to Texas. I'm so excited to go lock arms with all these Texas elected Republicans, because I assumed that elected Republicans in Texas were fighting as hard for the freedom and liberty of the next generation as those of us in the Trump administration. I get into the Texas House, and I find out Democrats are running the joint. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is Democrats were chairing 40% of our committees. Imagine if Speaker Johnson made Nancy Pelosi chairman of Ways and Means, or ANC. Hey, AOC, you can run Energy and Commerce. That has been happening in the Texas House for 15 years. The most powerful person in the Texas House, Steve, was our parliamentarian, and who's that? A Barack Obama White House lawyer. I'm going to say this one more time, Steve. A Barack Obama White House lawyer is the most powerful staffer currently in the Republican-dominated Texas House. So the posse, grassroots activists across the country said, we're sick of Democrats chairing committees in the Texas House, so the RINOs came up with a plan.
They gave us all the chairmanships,
a fake
right?
plan, yeah.
So what are you bitching about? What are you whining about now? They
Because-
gave you all. Hey, the guy cut the deal. He says, you want grassroots, boardroom posse wants a chairman of Republicans, you got chairman.
Let me tell folks, this is next-level gaslighting at its finest, these Austin RINOs. They said, okay, you 8 Democrats that were chairing these committees, you can't be called chairman anymore, but what we're going to do when people aren't looking, we're going to rewrite the rules. And we're going to give almost half the Democrat caucus vice chairmanships or co-chairmanships, then rewrite the rules and say that the Democrat co-chairs have more power than the Republican chairman. So now they've actually gone worse. Instead of Democrats controlling 8 or 9 committees, now Democrats control all 30 or 36 committees in the Republican-dominated Texas
because
House.
they gave them the ability to do the agenda, the witnesses. The way you run a committee is whatever's slated, they can pass through. Only stuff that they want passes
They
through
control the whole schedule. And one example, so I'm on the Appropriations Committee, chaired by a radical leftist Democrat, and just 2 days ago in a budget hearing when I'm grilling our state agencies, because by the way, Texas is funding DEI to the tunes of billions of dollars.
No way.
And
Please, it stopped.
Billions.
It stopped.
So I'm exposing this. Well, our Democrat chair hijacked the budget committee meeting because I'm exposing DEI and turned it into a almost hour-long infomercial for DEI. That's what's happening in Texas.
Okay, but the whole thing, it's real estate taxes going up. All this stuff is actually down to the
being
local.
taxed out of their homes.
But it's all to the local level, so it really doesn't have anything to do with state government.
They want you to believe this.
That's false too.
It's false.
Another one of my
the cities
all
and the
my
county,
assumptions about Texas politics are wrong.
No, it's a mirage. The Texas government is conservative is a myth, but people believe it, and I'm exposing the betrayal of Texas voters. No, all the local government cities, the school boards that are taxing my constituents out of their homes, they're political subdivisions of the state. So when they do it, it's the state of Texas doing it. And I'm tired. We need to get back. We need to take our rightful place leading in freedom and liberty and low taxes. We need to abolish property taxes in the state of Texas.
Abolish property
taxes.
Taxes.
We can do it.
You can abolish property taxes.
We can abolish property. I've got a plan to do it. It just takes a little bit of courage.
Well, tell me, going on offense. First off, if President Trump heard today that they're funding DEI, when he's given edicts on everything to get DEI everywhere, we fought this campaign. You had Terry Schilling there last night at the thing. You got so many warriors. If they know that in the great state of Texas, the railhead of the MAGA movement, that the state's spending billions of dollars on DEI.
You're right, billions. And let me tell you what, President Trump in 4 weeks has done more to combat DEI in the state of Texas than the Texas government has in the years that I've been here. So as President Trump is getting rid of DEI federally, the state of Texas is doubling down on it. Texans are being taxed out of their homes, and their money is being weaponized against them by their own government to fund radical DEI and liberal gender ideology in the state of Texas, and I've had it. We need to stop funding our state agencies and our public universities that are indoctrinating the next generation with this Marxist nonsense.
What's the social media? Because you're going to have a huge fight of appropriations. We want to follow you.
At Brian E. Harrison on X, at Brian E. Harrison.
Do we need to get Mike Davis in Article 3? We need a Texas Article 3 down here or something?
Oh, I would take all the help in the Lone Star State that I can get.
You're going to have the war
Texas voters are MAGA. Their government isn't. We've got to change that.
Well, we're going to start exposing that nonstop with you guys. You guys are patriots, and it's outrageous. Look, as goes Tarrant County, as goes Texas, goes America, and as goes America, goes the world. And yesterday you saw a perfect example. Carl Rove, who's the #1 person to come in there and say that President Trump, you shouldn't do this publicly. It's the behind-the-door mentality of Austin, right?
Well, yeah, and I can even give a call to action. Any of your viewers that are in Texas, find out who's your state rep, and call and ask them a specific question. What have you done to stand up to the corrupt liberal RINO leadership that has put the Democrats in power in the Lone Star State? Give me a specific example.
Okay, we're gonna get on that for the rest of the show.
Awesome.
By the way, Davis is the viceroy, and you're a pretty good backup. I'm glad you're down here in Texas, saving Texas.
God bless y'all, and God bless Texas.
Brian Harrison in the House. You're District 10.
District 10.
District 10.
District 10.
God bless you.